We are living through one of the most significant shifts in Canadian culture. In 2001, 77% of Canadians still identified as Christian. But just 20 years later, this number had dropped to 53%. During this same time, the proportion of Canadians who identify as having no religious affiliation nearly doubled, from 1 in 6 to 1 in 3 Canadians. If ever there was a time to engage our culture with the goodness and relevance of the gospel, it's now. But in the same year that census data reported the plummeting of Christian affiliation, another report found that 65% of Canadian churches have not prioritized evangelism for the past several years, and 55% of churches are not currently equipping their congregants to share the gospel. So, whatever happened to evangelism? Both the trends in Christian affiliation and the lack of evangelistic engagement in our churches are reflective of a deeper and broader shift. The movement from Christendom to a post-Christian culture. For nearly 1,000 years, the Western world was shaped by Christendom. In this context, most people went to church, identified as Christian, and shared many of the basic assumptions of a Christian worldview, whether or not they had a vital relationship with Jesus. As Tim Keller describes, in this context, evangelism is fairly straightforward. Christendom had already given people dots, shared beliefs in things like a personal God, the need for forgiveness, and a moral law. So evangelism was simply a matter of connecting those dots by pointing people to Jesus. But in our secular post-Christian culture, many of those dots no longer exist for most people. Although our culture has changed, many of the evangelistic tools and methods that were developed in a Christendom context have remained the same, only to become less and less effective. So how do we communicate the unchanging message of the gospel in a changing culture? It's my desire to lean into this question by serving with the Message Canada. The Message is a global movement that is devoted to sharing the gospel in word and deed. It was started in the 1980s in the UK and has been active in Canada since 2016. As the National Director of Engagement, my role with the Message will focus on research, development, and equipping. One of my primary tasks is to assemble a think tank of scholars and practitioners who will come together to share knowledge, produce new research, and develop resources to support the witness of the Canadian Church. I'll also be facilitating regional training events at local churches that will practically equip people to share their faith. In support of my role, I'm also beginning a PhD in intercultural studies with a focus on evangelism in a post-Christian context. I'm especially interested in helping the church connect the gospel to some of the most pressing questions in our day, from gender and sexuality to race and artificial intelligence. To make this vision a reality, I'm building a team of ministry supporters. And today I want to invite you to consider partnering with me through prayer and financial giving. Below this video, you'll find more details on how you can partner with me in prayer and make a pledge to join my team of financial supporters. If you know anyone else who might be interested in hearing about my ministry, I'd love if you would put us in touch or share this video with them. Let's continue to believe that Jesus is Lord over our culture and that he wants to continue revealing the transforming power of his love through his church as we declare and demonstrate the message of the gospel.